When it comes to the vendors in the arena, the shops in the arena, they're not going to have the same amount of people patronize their business as they would if Caitlin Clark was there.
This is a fake one-sided rivalry. We got Angel Reese taking more shots at Caitlin Clark unnecessarily. You in Indiana having a great time partying. We see all the clips. Why can't you just do your thing? Why can't you just do your thing?
The surrounding restaurants, the surrounding areas, the surrounding attractions, they're not going to have the same number of people patronize their business as they would if Caitlin Clark was healthy.
Angel Reese didn't just drop a sneaker. She tried to send a message. Her new Reebok campaign, Walk in Your Trap, Take Over Your Trap, launched right in Indiana, Caitlin Clark's home turf. That wasn't a coincidence. It was bold, it was strategic, and it was meant to dominate the headlines. But instead of a moment of glory, it completely backfired. The crowd, weak, the energy, flat, the hype, nowhere to be found. What was supposed to be a takeover turned into a PR disaster. Fans didn't rally behind Reese, they called her out. To many, it felt like she was trying to steal a crown that clearly wasn't hers, especially while Clark was injured and couldn't respond. The public saw it for what it was, a cheap stunt. One player was working quietly through recovery, the other was out front, pushing slogans, cameras, and hashtags. And that Trap Queen title? Yeah, it didn't hit the way she thought it would. Instead of taking over, Reese walked into enemy territory and walked out with less buzz than she brought in.
Caitlin Clark gets hurt, and guess what? Your demand vanishes because people ain't gonna pay up to see these athletes that are ungrateful that their sport's growing. People aren't paying up for that. And we are here, right here. The tickets for this game, for this All-Star game, they've dropped by 50%.
While Angel Reese was busy filling Instagram with catchphrases and curated selfies, Caitlin Clark was out there making history. No gimmicks, no noise. Clark quietly dropped 31 points and 12 assists, a stat line no player in WNBA history has ever recorded before. No flashy slogans. No "this is my city" declarations. No media circus, just basketball excellence. Her game did all the talking. Meanwhile, Reese's hype machine was working overtime, trying to turn All-Star Weekend into a spotlight moment. She wanted to be seen as the league's next big icon. But the reality? The numbers told a different story. Fans weren't tuning in for slogans or shoes. They were showing up for results, and Caitlin delivered. Clark's performance was a reminder of what true dominance looks like. And when you compare that to Reese's branding push, it wasn't even close. Because here's the truth. Caitlin Clark doesn't need to post MVP energy online. She shows it on the court every single night.
Reebok, Angel Reese are taking shots at Caitlin Clark, using her as promo. Angel Reese, let's be clear here. Let's just be all the way clear here. Angel Reese is a solid basketball player. Angel Reese 100% has benefited from attaching herself to Caitlin Clark at every single turn. Her podcast, the first 3 episodes, all the clips promoting was bringing up Caitlin Clark. It was bringing up Caitlin Clark and all of the promo. People wanted to know what she was going to say. She used Caitlin Clark as promo.
The so-called rivalry between Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark? At this point, it's not just one-sided. It's straight up embarrassing. Reese keeps pushing the narrative like she's trying to fuel a fire that was never lit. Clark hasn't thrown shade, hasn't responded with a single word, hasn't even acknowledged the drama. Yet Reese just can't let it die. Why? Because being linked to Caitlin Clark's name keeps her relevant. It drives clicks, stirs up social media, and keeps people talking, even when Clark says absolutely nothing. But here's the thing. Fans are starting to see through it. This isn't a rivalry anymore. It's not competitive. It's calculated. It's desperate. You can only swing at someone for so long before people realize the other person isn't even in the fight. Reese wants it to be Ali versus Frazier. But Caitlin? She's not even playing that game. And the longer Reese keeps pushing this fake feud, the more it becomes clear. It's not about basketball. It's about attention.
Reese, I'm in your city. Walk in your trap, take over your trap. Post it on Instagram. There's about 15 fans there and Reebok put up a board. You would expect Reebok to put up a board. Let's never forget that when let's never forget the gigantic Caitlin Clark Nike billboard in Chicago. Let's never forget that. So if Reebok didn't put up a board for Angel Reese,
When Angel Reese brought her Reebok pop-up to Indiana, she thought it'd be a victory lap, a bold move, a moment to plant her flag and claim some spotlight, but reality hit hard. Barely a dozen fans showed up. The setup looked forced, the photo ops felt awkward, and to make matters worse, she hasn't even won a game in Indiana. Reese tried to own the city, but the city didn't want her. What was supposed to be iconic ended up feeling empty, and the comparisons? They came quick and brutal. Caitlin Clark's massive Nike billboard in Chicago. Now that was a moment. Authentic, powerful, instantly iconic. Reese's campaign? It looked like a last-minute school project, not a pro athlete's brand rollout. People online were calling it a middle school pep rally, and honestly, they weren't wrong. Once the images hit social media, it went from cringy to downright humiliating. This wasn't a brand takeover. This was a loud, awkward flop in a city that already belongs to someone else.
Clark has never said a negative word about Angel Reese. Caitlin Clark has never said a negative word, or like, to be honest, when it comes to Caitlin Clark, like, she did show it by her actions. Showed it by her actions. She didn't need to say, I'm taking over Chicago. She did, however, go and put up 31 and 12, set a career high with 12 assists, be the only player in the history of the WNBA ever to have 31 and 12 in a game. She did, in fact, do that and then try to hype up the Chicago crowd. So it's like, fair enough, you want to say, oh, Caitlin Clark did this, then show it with your actions. Go and win MVP. Go and win MVP. Don't just be like, this is my city. Don't just come in and be like, this is my city. You've never won a game. Has she won a game in Indiana? I don't think she's ever won a game in Indiana. I actually do not think she has won a pro game in Indiana.
Angel Reese wasn't just trying to make noise on the court. She came for the whole city. But the second Caitlin Clark went down with an injury, everything shifted. What was supposed to be Reese's breakout moment during All-Star Weekend completely fizzled out. Ticket prices tanked, dropping from $121 to just $64. It wasn't a dip, it was a collapse. Indianapolis had prepped for chaos. Hotels were ready, restaurants stocked up, local businesses geared up for one of the biggest weekends of the year. But the second fans realized Clark wouldn't be there, the energy vanished. The crowds never showed, the buzz evaporated. And Angel? She was left posing under a Reebok banner with barely a dozen fans and zero real hype. This wasn't just a sports flop, this was a business disaster. Local vendors and bar owners said it loud. The draw was Caitlin Clark, and once she was out, the weekend lost its magic. Meanwhile, Reese tried to step in and steal the spotlight, but fans didn't buy it. They saw the whole thing for what it was, a forced narrative and a moment that felt manufactured, not earned. All-Star Weekend was meant to be a celebration. Instead, it became a reminder that you can't fake star power.
The ticket prices, the demand fell off a cliff. And it's not just the on-court product that suffers without 22, number 22, Caitlin Clark. The entire weekend's economic opportunities have felt the fallout. This was conveyed with a July 18th post from NBA Central that wrote, quote, the get-in price for the WNBA All-Star Game in Indianapolis has dropped 48%. From $121 a ticket to $64 a ticket after the news broke that Caitlin Clark won't be playing. I mean, the tickets lost 50% of its value. These numbers are confirmed by TickPick's website, currently having the All-Star Game's get-in price at $64. In a July 16th article from Front Office Sports, which was posted before Clark announced she'd be sitting out, was $121.
Without Caitlin Clark, the WNBA loses its pulse. From day one, Angel Reese's marketing playbook has followed a single formula: say Clark's name and go viral. Podcasts, headlines, tweets, her name's always in the mix. But fans aren't fooled anymore. They're calling it exactly what it is: clout chasing. This isn't about rivalry, it's about reliance. Reese hasn't just positioned Clark as a competitor, she's built her entire brand around her. And for a while, it worked. The buzz, the endorsements, the media coverage. But now, it's starting to collapse. With Clark injured and absent from All-Star Weekend, Reese had the stage to herself, and the moment completely fell flat. Her Reebok launch was meant to announce her as a standalone star. Instead, it exposed just how much her spotlight fades without Caitlyn in it. Clark didn't even attend the event. Yet somehow, she still dominated the conversation. Meanwhile, Reese was front and center, but looked lost without her usual co-star. The energy wasn't there, the excitement never showed up, and the campaign lacked one thing that can't be manufactured: authenticity. Fans want substance, not recycled drama. And the longer this continues, the more obvious it becomes. Reese's brand doesn't shine without Clark's shadow.
From $121 all the way down to just $64 after news broke that Caitlyn Clark won't be playing. These are people saying, I'm done. I don't want to watch. Caitlyn Clark's not. I bought tickets solely to watch Caitlyn Clark in the All-Star game. I made accommodations solely to get to Indiana to watch Caitlyn Clark in the All-Star game. She's injured. I have no interest in that anymore. People are selling their tickets so much so they just want off of them. 121, okay. You want it for 100? Oh no, okay. I guess I gotta lower it to 80. Oh, you don't want to buy it for 80? Okay, I guess I'll lower it to 70. You don't want to buy it to 70? I guess I'll lower it to $64. The WNBA is paying attention to these trends, and they're seeing firsthand what Caitlyn Clark is worth to this. Really unfortunate that Caitlyn Clark missed it. The crowd would have been exploding. The crowd would have been exploding. The arena would have been exploding. Oh man, a big miss as far as the WNBA is concerned.
If your brand depends on someone else's name, it's not a brand, it's a shadow. And the second that person disappears, your spotlight goes with them. That's exactly the problem with Angel Reese's trap queen persona. Because let's be real, you can't claim to run the trap when you've never even won there. Reese hasn't won a single professional game in Indiana, not in college, not in the WNBA. Yet she showed up in Caitlyn Clark's city, plastered her face across downtown, and acted like she owned the league. Bold slogans, loud captions, big declarations. But fans weren't buying it, because when the receipts don't match the reputation, it's all just noise. You can't say walk in your trap, take over your trap, when you've never even walked out with a W. Meanwhile, Caitlyn Clark doesn't need to scream for attention. She just shows up and breaks records in silence. While Reese was hyping herself up on Instagram, Clark was rewriting the rookie history books with 30-point double-doubles. The contrast couldn't be clearer. One was chasing clicks, the other was chasing greatness. And when Clark wasn't there to serve as the rival, Reese's entire act started to feel like a one-woman show, with no audience. You can't run a feud if the other side refuses to participate. And Clark? She's never responded, never clapped back, never even said Angel's name. And that silence? That's her most savage move yet. Every time Reese throws shade, it just bounces off a brick wall. Because Clark isn't in the drama, she's too busy winning. And fans? They see right through it. This isn't a rivalry. It's a one-sided PR campaign that's starting to look more desperate than dominant. Reese built her image on being the anti-Clark, but Clark won't play that role. She's not engaging in the drama because she's locked in on W's, not wars. And now, every swing Angel takes just echoes louder. Not as confidence, but insecurity. Because when the person you're attacking doesn't even flinch, that's when the noise starts to sound like silence. And silence says everything.